Golden Knights having great success so far this year. Does that put any pressure on you guys to succeed in this
Who are the
year?
Golden Knights? No, only pressure is that the sniping of people saying you got to do as good as them.
It's just good. Vegas is treating us well, and I think the record doesn't show how hard that we work, and it's tough in that way, but it's good for us in the inner circle to understand what we have going on in Vegas, and if we just continue to trust and believe in each other, the sky's the limit for this team, and I'm blessed to be a part of it.
Our expectations maybe at the start of the season were a little unrealistic.
Man, we're not even worrying about the playoffs right now. What we do is we take it week by week. We gotta worry about next week. You start looking ahead and you start looking over people, you might not even make it. So
that being said, to me, Urban Meyer is one of the lowest pieces of garbage there is on this earth.
You are tuned in to Straight Bet Sports live on the Guerilla Cross Radio Network.
That's right, baby. We are back. You already know what it is. I am your host, Jose V. We are coming to you live from downtown Las Vegas, Nevada, here in the one and only Guerilla Cross Radio Studios. We greatly appreciate you joining in and tapping in with us today. Brand new time, same show, same place, 4 p.m., just a little past 4 p.m. today. You guys are used to watching us at 9 p.m. here on the West Coast, midnight on the East Coast. So we said, you know what? We're going to pull it back just a bit. We have a lot of people on the East Coast that like to watch the show, that like to chime in, but they can't do it live because it's too late for them. So we said, let's pull it back a bit. Let's give us a little bit earlier time here on the West Coast, but also enough time for the people on the West Coast to chime in and jump in with us. Let me go ahead and introduce my co-host, as he is every single Wednesday night. My guy, Ian B. What's good, my man? How you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. 4 p.m. feels nice.
Right? Big difference from 9 p.m., right?
Yeah, I mean,
still light outside.
I'm still on graveyard, so the nighttime fatigue still sets in a little bit, but it's nice being up and around during the day, man. So I'm feeling good.
Now, you don't see any sponsors. You don't see any things like that, but obviously we do have sponsors, and we have quiet ones this time. We have people that decided to fund the show behind the scenes and said, Jose, we love what you and Ian are doing. We want you back at Guerilla Cross in the studio. Here it is. Let's make it happen. So we decided to come back and sign. Thank you for Quan59 for allowing us to come back into the studio and sign in once again. Somebody took our time slot, but I'm grateful for that. I'm very grateful for that. I'm not upset whatsoever because a new time slot is good for us. A little bit of refreshment, start over again, but continue what we were doing, but change it up a bit. We got a guest today, which you got, Ian. Thank you so much for doing that and going out of your way, man. You said you wanted to do a little more. You did it, so I appreciate you. We got another one locked in for next week. I'm not going to say it just yet. We're going to talk about it later on the show. But without further ado, let's just jump right into it real quick, my guy.
Absolutely.
We have someone in the studio. We wanted to bring in someone that is kind of tailored to the show that we already do. We have a lot of MMA fighters. We've had a lot of boxers in the show. So why not bring another action fighter in the studio, right? So Ian, since you decided to get this gentleman, since you made it happen, I'm going to let you introduce our guest for the show here this evening. But before we do so, I got to do what I do every single week, right? We're back now on Guerilla Cross Radio. Press that like, drop that comment, press that share button, and we'll go from there. Let everyone know what it is you are tuned into today. Remember, we are live on all Guerilla Cross Radio platforms, on the YouTube, the Twitter, the Facebook, and if not, go on the website, GuerillaCross.com, and also download the app today on all app stores. 702-608-3259. You want to give us a call throughout the show. Maybe you got a question for our guest today. Go ahead and give us a call. And if not, maybe it's about the sports topics we're going to talk about later or something you want to talk about. Please hit us up and follow us and follow the station and the show on all Guerilla Cross Radio platforms. But Ian, go ahead. Take it off, my man.
All right. So we have pro MMA fighter Ernesto Rodriguez. Starboy, right? That's your nickname?
Yes, Starboy.
So
you got to say it right.
How'd that come in, man?
How you doing? You good?
I'm doing great, man. It's my pleasure, guys. Invite me to the show. I feel great. Starboy came out because the weekend song Starboy.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask you too. Is it because of that? Definitely.
Because of that, I feel like I was living at that time the same lifestyle as that guy. Like many girls around. You know? Like pretty good looking guys. So definitely. At the same time, humble. Fighting. You know, so humble. Yeah, humble. So. And that's how it came out, man. And I feel like it really
like match with the audience. Like every time I go out of the fight, like people say, "Oh, who's the Starboy?"
Definitely.
And when I put that song on, so everybody just stand up. And
You got to create that persona, right?
Exactly.
You got to let people know who you are, and you got to create a stamp early, especially right now in the beginning part of your
earlier
career.
Your career, yeah.
So I saw some of your MMA fights previous to you becoming pro. We're going to talk about all your fights and all that, but I want to talk about a little bit more about you, about how it became to you being where you're at right now. I mean, we were talking about it previous. You've been in the States about 6 years, you said, give or take. Originally from Cuba, Cubano.
Cuba, yeah.
Exactly. But you're here now. You're a citizen.
I'm a citizen.
You said it. You've come a long way. Talk
way.
about your journey a little bit, how it was for you going through, coming here, getting your citizenship, working, and now being a pro MMA fighter.
Be a pro, yeah. I used to wrestle in Cuba, man, like freestyle.
Okay.
And since I was 6 years old,
Okay.
I was kind of forced, to be honest. I didn't like it at the beginning. My dad just pushed me into it. And I started like getting first place in tournaments, second places, and I started liking it, man.
Okay.
And my dad always told me like, you're gonna be grateful with me. Like you're gonna love it. You're gonna be good. Keep
You're gonna
going.
see why.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And then I moved to the States. I wanted to keep doing wrestling. I wanted to go to college, but my transcripts they were not that good.
Okay.
So I just transferred to MMA. It's a professional sport. You make money. You're in the streets. You can do a lot of things at the same time. And that's what I've been doing. I started working as a security first.
Okay.
Didn't work. It was too many hours for me. And then I wanted to like spend time training and stuff.
Okay.
So that's why I decided to be a bartender.
Okay.
And yeah, it's been good, man. Like I work 5-6 hours sometimes, make good money just to provide for my MMA career.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
why become an MMA fighter?
Because it's the smoothest transfer
From being a
From
wrestling.
wrestling
Gotcha.
to MMA.
Okay.
Yeah. Like if you see most of the UFC champions, they're all coming from wrestling. Kamaru Usman, Volkanovski, Khabib. So they got that pretty dominant style on the cage.
So when did you make the transfer over from wrestling to jiu-jitsu? Because it's jiu-jitsu, right? That's the discipline that you mainly focus on, or
Focus now on Muay Thai.
okay,
The jiu-jitsu is not that hard when you already have that wrestling base.
gotcha.
Just gotta add the submissions, but it's easier to start doing jiu-jitsu after you are done wrestling before. And yeah, my main focus right now is my stand-up, like Muay Thai, kickboxing, boxing, just to be a more completely fighter.
More complete fight.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay.
So I saw after one of your fights, they were interviewing you, asking you questions, and I don't know the exact words that you used, but you said something like, "I'm originally from Cuba, but I'm here now. I represent the U.S. It gave me my opportunity." Talk about how tough it is coming from Cuba and what opportunities you have been given here.
It is tough, man. It is tough. It's like, especially with the language, man. Like it's two different language, Spanish and English.
Yeah.
And then coming a long way is like different way, like the country. And I'm proud to be a U.S. citizen because this is the country that actually gave me the opportunities to do what I love to do and to represent even my country. And I represent the United States too when I go to fight. So yeah, I'm very grateful with the United States. So I always represent both, and I can't wait for my next fight to walk out with both of flags. So.
Definitely. Now, do you have any family out here at all, or is it
All
just
my
yourself?
family except my dad, man.
Really?
Got my
That's
little brother in
awesome,
town for
bro.
summer.
Okay.
My mom, my cousins, they're all in Miami. You
Okay.
know where the Cubans are.
Yeah. In Miami con todos los cubanos.
Todos cubanos, yeah. So I'm the only one here follow my dream, man.
Okay.
And they support.
They support. I mean,
fighting
my
and
mom, she
everything.
doesn't like it that much.
Yeah.
You know how moms are.
They don't want you to get hurt and everything. Yeah.
But my cousins, they love what I do and they support me a lot, man. And my dad, he's very proud of me, and that's what I feel.
Gotcha.
Once
Very happy
again,
about it, man.
you are tuning to Straight Bet Sports live here on the Guerilla Cross Radio Network. Jose V, EMB, Quan 59 in the studio. We got Ernesto Starboy Rodriguez hanging out with us in the studio. Professional MMA fighter. 3-1 so far on his young career, but he did go undefeated as an amateur. A lot of the ranks that he's been up on have been the Tough Enough circuit. Tough Enough is very, very huge out here in Las Vegas and just in the MMA scene in general. But you also come out of a gym that's very, very popular for creating a lot of champions. You come out of Extreme Couture. Talk about being part of that family and how it is to train at that gym.
It feels great, man, to be surrounded by champions like Francis Ngannou's, Dan Ige, Strickland just for last weekend. It feels great, like it gives you that extra push, like, hey, man, you're in the right place, just keep going, non-stop, you're gonna be there. And it feels great. I started, since day one, I started Extreme Couture. I feel like it's a gym that really matched with my style because Randy Couture used to be a wrestler.
Yeah.
And I'm a wrestler too, so it really matched with my fighting style.
So another thing that I saw about your fights that I told you I was up late last night. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do some research. You know, I gotta make sure I'm sharp for what's going on here. But people don't compare you to this individual; they compare you to his style. Every fight that I've watched, every announcer is saying the Khabib style, the Khabib style, the Khabib. He's that style that he has. It's like Khabib. But no one, which I respect, no one is comparing you to that individual. Yeah. You have to get there. No disrespect, but you will eventually. I know you will get there. But after watching every single fight that I saw from your amateur days to now your pro days, you have that style. That bell rings and you're on top of your opponent, already bringing them to the ground. You're already on the ground doing what you got to do, grappling, holding them down. And your ground game is impeccable. It's awesome, bro. If I'm being honest with you, it is great. And when you bring guys up, the power that you have, and not only your upper body, but your legs to be able to slam these guys, bro.
You were slamming some pretty big guys.
That's where your wrestling background comes in, right?
That's the wrestling background, man. That's the freestyle background there. I feel like it's inside of me. Like it just come out natural, man. I've been doing it for my whole life. And if you see like Russians and Cubans, they got the same styles wrestling. So. And that's man. I don't like to be compared with anybody, but I'm myself. But I feel proud when they compare my style with Khabib's style because he's been so dominant in the sport, man.
Absolutely, great fighter.
It made me feel great.
So let's talk about the one defeat that you did have, Richie Lewis, right?
Yeah.
So what did you take from that fight? How was your mindset going into that fight? And what are you doing to like get better to make sure that doesn't happen again?
And there was a lot of trash talking leading up to that fight, so I want to know what you have to say about that.
I learned a lot from that loss, man. I actually got my whole arm tattooed because that loss. So
I was wondering where the tattoo came from because some of the fights you had no tattoo.
Yeah, I didn't have any tattoo before that fight, man. I just made my whole arm because that loss. Mindset, but I wasn't there, man. Like my body was there, but my mind wasn't there. Especially because the old trash talking, like I wasn't used to it, you know what I'm saying? And then I was still young, and then his coaches were all behind all that trash talk. They knew me before because I went there, I trained one day.
Okay.
And they knew me, and so they set up all that fight because they knew I was that good.
So you said that you trained one day. Now,
yeah,
I saw an interview that he did. Yeah. He said that you were part of his gym,
no,
and then that you started woofing and talking back. So you were only there one time?
One time. I just went there to check it out because like a few of my buddies from Cuba.
And this was in Miami, right?
I was in Miami, exactly. How I'm part of the gym if I don't even live there, you know what I'm saying? I live here.
Because he said that you were snaking in grass, and like if you just read the interview, it really sounded like you said it was like you were part of his family.
No, not at all,
he
man.
grew up with you.
No.
Okay,
I was actually visiting Miami, and two of my buddies they trained there with them, and they said, hey, come over, just train one day. Okay. I went there, I trained, and his coach, he saw me I was that good.
Okay.
He wanted me to be part of that gym.
Okay.
But I'm saying, man, I have my gym in Vegas. I live in Vegas. I have my whole life in Vegas. Why would I move?
They wanted to recruit you.
Exactly. And I say no. And then when I came back to Vegas, like my first round management, it's a George Masvidal management, like Tyron Woodley, they sent me that fight, and I was like, man, I just saw this guy in the gym. Why I would fight him? No, they talking shit about you, and they did a whole video like about you.
So they really want to prop it up and hype it up. Okay.
And I was like, man, it doesn't make sense to me. And say, yeah, they wanted to fight you. You want to take the fight or no? I'm like, yeah, I'll fight anybody. I mean, I don't really care.
Now, so you're not with that management team now.
I'm not with that management team anymore. Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, because we were talking about it before the show, and you said you kind of felt like it was a setup in a way. The way that everything was set up with the crowd, the VIP section was right by the cage, so you couldn't even hear your family or your coaches telling you what they were telling you. Do you think it was a setup? Not trying to make excuses, but do you think that it was something that they possibly saw you and they're like, okay, we can probably get him, we can probably get into his head, let's book this fight and let's create it?
That's what we're trying to do since the beginning. Yeah, no excuses. I lost that fight. That was all my fault. Okay. But yeah, they set it up since the beginning. They knew they can get into my head, and they did. They actually did. Like, no, don't get me wrong. They did it. They did it right. While I was walking to the fight, I have a lot of the guy of his team like walking around, you're gonna lose, and screaming on me. So they were actually getting into my head. So And yeah, man. But I learned a lot from that.
What
I
is
just
the
kept
biggest thing
going.
you learned from that fight?
Just to keep focused. No, doesn't matter what's around you. You
Okay.
gotta keep your line, keep going straight.
No outside noise.
No outside noise. Yeah.
So question
Nobody can
for
get
you.
into your head.
That's hard in life in general.
That's
not just as
Yeah.
and being an
That's
athlete,
athlete.
but sometimes trying to focus on what you have to accomplish in life, whether it's a job, whether it's taking care of your family, whether it's waking up and taking out the trash. You got to make sure that you're blocking
You're
out
blocking
all the white noise,
the
all
noise,
of it.
all the noise,
So
yeah.
how do you do that though? How do you make
Man.
sure now moving forward, because you fought since then,
I
and
fought
you
since
won
then,
your
and
fight
I won
since
my
then.
fight, and that's one of my biggest accomplishments. Like get a win after that loss that hurt so much. I took like 6 months off.
Okay.
I never took that long off the fight, so I recover, I heal up, and I say, okay, let's take another fight and let's see how it's going. I put in that work, like all the 6 months was a hard camp, and I got the win. I also learned that I cannot win all my fights with the ground game. I gotta win my fights understanding too.
Definitely.
And that's how I did on my last fight. The guy was a jiu-jitsu guy. He was trying to get into my ankles and stuff and grappling. I'm like, no, let's stand up, let's fight standing.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
how hard is that though? Because watching MMA, I've been getting into MMA a lot more, and I try to watch a lot more of the up and coming guys, not necessarily just the big name guys, the champs, but guys have to adapt to styles all the time.
All the time.
You are a great ground guy. Not saying you're not great on top, but what do you do to adjust to that, but also not lose focus of your ground game when you have to get back down there?
I started in this new gym, One Kicks Nick.
Okay.
It's an old school Muay Thai guy, kickboxing. He have coach Chuck Liddell and old school guys. So I started training there, and I can use my ground game there. They're all Muay Thai fighters. They're all standing. So when we spar, I cannot take them down. I
gotta stand up?
I gotta stand up and fight, and that's how I adapt my.
But I
game.
think the question that we're asking is more of how do you keep that ground game impeccable while also focusing on adapting to stand-up fighters?
I feel like it's inside of me, man. Like whenever it comes out natural, like whenever I'm fighting or I'm sparring MMA, like I feel like when they coming forward, I just can't take them down easily. Doesn't matter.
So you're still like actively
I'm still active training my wrestling.
So no matter what, at the end of the day, you know you're a wrestler.
I know. I'm
You
a
don't
wrestler.
lose focus on
I don't
that.
lose focus
Okay.
on that. I'm keep wrestling with them all day long. Yeah.
So what happens when you get into a fight where you have a guy that his ground game is better than yours, and you feel it maybe after the first round, but he doesn't have a stand-up game like yours? How do you adjust at that point?
I only felt that with Richie Lewis. He actually had a good like ground game.
Okay.
And I didn't know what to do at that time. I feel like in my next one, if the guy is a good ground game, I'm just gonna keep standing and keep putting my hands on him. You know.
So you watch that fight a lot more after it to learn
I
from
watch
it?
it like in my last camp. I watch it every day before training.
Oh man.
Every day before training, just to keep my mindset like
Yeah.
it cannot happen again. You gotta work harder and harder and
That's
harder.
awesome, bro.
How do you keep your mental like up though? Like, cause like obviously it's motivational because you see what you did wrong in that
Wrong,
fight,
yeah.
but at the same time you're just witnessing over and over your defeat.
over
So
your
how
defeat.
do you
That is
watch
tough,
that
bro.
and then go into the gym and say, you know what, this is going to be a great
A
day?
great day, yeah, because it was so painful that day, man.
Yeah.
So I'm like on my mind, I'm like, I don't want to feel that again. So you gotta train harder and harder, and you gotta put in that work in the gym and do the best you can. And because I don't want to feel that feeling again, I just get back to the gym and put in our work.
And keep doing what you got to do,
Keep
man.
doing, yeah.
Once again, Jose V, EMB, you are tuning to Straight Bet Sports live here on the Guerilla Cross Radio Network. Yes, we are back. I'm sorry, it feels good to say that. I know I sound like a broken record, and I sound like a little kid in a candy store. Call it what it is. Call it what you want. Make fun of me. I don't care, man. But we are happy to be back. This is our home. This is where we belong. But
I just had a comment.
go for
So,
it. Say the comment.
My
Say it.
friend Dale Francis, he says he actually trains with
Daniel,
you.
who?
Oh really?
He says that he trains
we
with
train.
you.
We train together. at
Wait,
One
we
Piece.
got another
Yeah, shout
beef
out to
going on
him,
right
yeah.
here?
No,
that's not
there's no beef, bro.
No,
Oh,
so
cool.
he doesn't do, like, he's not professional or anything
got
like
you.
that,
We
but
train
he says he
together, yeah.
trains at
One
the
Piece.
gym that you
Yeah.
train at, so.
Nice.
I do
Shout
want
out
to give
him, man.
I do want to give a shout out to a few people that are chiming in. Same people that follow us and watch us every single week, man. Goose Thomas chimes in and says, "New time. I see you, Jose V. Straight Bet Sports. Talk to me nice." Eddie Martinez, our primo Eddie from Cali, chiming in. He does every week back at the studio. Let's go. Appreciate you guys and your support. Everybody on Twitter too, man. There's a lot of people chiming in, liking the stuff on Twitter. We greatly appreciate you. Jay Madrazo should be here pretty soon. He's gonna come in here and take some pictures and hang out with us.
Perfect.
I'm gonna be at the Aces game afterwards today. That's another good thing about this 4 o'clock time slot, that I can make some of these games now after the show is over and not have to worry about that. So it's pretty cool, man. But once again, we have Ernesto Starboy Rodriguez in the building, hanging out with us today, talking some MMA. Now, Ernesto, I mean, a little birdie was talking to us earlier. You know what I mean? We got a little note there. Someone came over and was telling us some things. And someone said that you have an announcement that you wanted to make on our show today.
Oh, yeah, man. This is a big announcement. I have a fight coming up, August 12th.
Okay.
Tough enough on the Thomas Mackin
Let's
Center.
go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
It's a big announcement.
Book it. Make sure you go get tickets. UNLVtickets.com.
Tickets are about to go, like maybe a couple more days.
Okay.
But they'll be there. Go there, support me. Gonna get this W, man.
Do we have an opponent?
Not yet.
Okay.
They actually sent me one,
Okay.
and they were going to ask them if they want to accept it.
Okay.
I'm not sure if they accept it or not.
Okay.
But hopefully, let's cross our fingers and make it happen, man.
So are you in the welterweight or in the lightweight division now?
I'm in the welterweight now.
I'm
in the welterweight.
What
It's a
weight
170 pounds.
170. Okay.
Yeah, I used to
gotcha.
fight. I started my amateur career at 170.
Okay.
When I moved to pro, I went down to 155 because my
okay.
coach wanted me to drop me down 155. But after that Richie Louis loss, I feel like I need to go up. I cut like 30 pounds in 1 month.
Okay.
That actually drained me out.
Okay.
So I said, let's go up 170. I feel strong.
So that's
Feel
your
great.
comfort weight.
That's my that's
Okay.
that's
Is that
the
your
best way.
walking around weight?
No.
What's
my
your
walking
walking
around
around
is
weight?
184.
Okay, that's still not bad.
So that's
14
not bad.
pounds.
14 pounds, that's good enough,
Okay.
but not 30. No.
He's like, I'm not trying to drop 30, 25 pounds.
That's
more,
rough. That's
And
gotta
I've
be
been
rough.
cutting my whole life, man, since I
Okay.
wrestled. Like I'm tired of that. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
And I feel strong at 170, man. I feel like I can.
Do you
pick
still
people
feel
up.
like you move as quickly?
It's quickly, yeah, definitely, because I'm still cutting 15 pounds, so my body gets lighter. You know?
You're still picking up
Yeah.
these guys and
And
throwing them around
yeah,
like ragdolls.
exactly. So
I don't think it's
that's
been
what I want to
bothering
keep
you.
doing. So
Yeah, definitely.
and when
So-
I was going to down 155, I wasn't like literally be able to beat them up because I was losing my strength.
I gotcha.
So
Definitely. Now, have you talked to any current UFC fighters, or have any UFC fighters that you ran into cross your path and giving you some advice?
yeah, man. I see all the time Chidi, Angel Kawani.
Okay.
He's the Angel Kawani's brothers. He's actually on a 4 wing straight in the UFC.
Okay.
I talk to him like every other day when I see him, and yeah, he actually gave me the advice to keep working my standing. He's actually a pretty good standing guy.
Okay.
And yeah, he gave me that advice. I see UFC fighters all the time, man. We talk each other. They support me, and I support them as well.
Now, I want to talk a little more personal. It's like us. We do media, we have a show, but we also have a regular life. We have a regular day job when it comes to it at the end of the day. Not all pro fighters are at that level yet, right? Where all you can
Yeah.
do is train and fight.
Train.
You live a regular life. You have a 9 to 5.
Yeah, just like any
Talk
any
about
other
that.
worker, man.
We've had boxers in here that live that 9 to 5, that are also pro, that are trying to juggle family, life, work, training, all that. Talk about your experience, and has it been hard? Have you been able to figure it out and balance it? How is it for you?
It is really hard, man. It's not a secret that MMA they don't get paid pretty well at the beginning, and sometimes not even on top, you know.
Gotcha.
So you gotta find something else to provide for your career, to provide for your family, and I do bartending, man. And yeah, it's hard. It's hard to balance that 9 to 5 and then go to training, or go to training and then go to work and then go back to training again. You know, I train 3 times a day, man.
Three times
Three
a
times
day?
a day, man.
Jesus.
Like I wake up 6 a.m. I do
Talk
some
about
wrestling.
committed.
Yeah.
Do some wrestling with high school kids. I
Okay.
teach them, and at the same time I'm learning. When you're teaching, you're learning.
Really?
And then go straight to Muay Thai, do some standing, and then Jiu-Jitsu, go back, take a nap, and then go to work
Really?
all night long.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you work graveyard?
I work, yeah, it's kind of swing
Kinda like this
graveyard,
guy
yeah.
over here.
Yeah.
7
I
to
mean,
3.
he gets off at 2 a.m.,
Yeah,
so
2,
it's
yeah,
not
so-
really graveyard.
Graveyard,
but-
yeah.
It's like swings,
Swing.
swing.
But I'm not going to pretend that I train 3 times a day. So.
I can't even train getting up 3
Yeah,
times a day.
exactly.
Yeah, man, it's hard. Sometimes you sleep like 5-6 hours a day, but
Definitely.
I guess it will pay off.
Now, you said that you train kids. Are you like at a school?
Yeah,
Or
Durango High School.
Really?
Okay. So I teach them how to wrestle, how to do some.
And this is just volunteer work? Like
Volunteer,
really? Okay.
volunteer with my wrestling coach. He actually asked me if I can help them with some techniques.
That's
and
awesome.
I like it, man. I enjoy it. I like to get involved with that
with the young
with
people
the young
coming
people
up that want to
coming
be
up.
involved
They
in
got
it.
that. They got that extra push, and actually push me too.
Definitely,
So I feel like I'm the grown and
the grown up and everything.
Yeah, in the room. So I gotta push them.
Definitely.
And
So-
helps me a lot.
What's your long-term goal? I mean, obviously it makes sense that it's the UFC, but what steps, I would say, are you trying to do to get there? And have you talked to anyone about what the process of going from like Tough Enough circuit to like a UFC?
Yeah, I'm 3-1 as a pro, about to be 4-1 if you
Okay.
got one. So I feel like
About to be 4-1.
I love confidence. I like it, man.
yeah. So I feel like maybe 1 or 2 more wins would get me in a bigger league,
Okay.
like Bellator, UFC,
Okay.
PFL. That's the first step to get into the UFC. Once you got those eyes from a bigger league, like you're gonna attract the UFC eyes too. You know what I'm saying?
So you're not in a rush. You know how to get there.
I'm
And
not in a
you're
rush,
making
man.
it happen
I'm
the way you
24
want to.
years old. I'm not in a rush at all. I'm just step by step. I know I will get there. And
So not for you to sound cocky or confident. Do you honestly believe that one day you're gonna be in the UFC and be a champ?
yes, definitely.
Definitely.
I feel like I have the tools to be there. When I see some fights, I feel like I can dominate them. Maybe like knock them out or something, but I feel like I can dominate them. I can out wrestle them.
Yeah.
Good wrestlers. I feel they don't have the striking, so I feel like I have it all, and it's just the beginning. So I will keep growing.
So,
And one
sorry.
thing real quick and then I'll let you get to your point. The one thing that I will say is that I've seen a lot of Tough Enough fights. I've covered a Tough Enough event live in Mesquite. We were talking about that earlier. Been live right in front of the cage and seen these fighters. I'll be honest with you, respectfully, and I'm not saying this because you're on the show. You're one of the best fighters I've seen in Tough Enough in a while. And what I mean by that, your style doesn't look like an amateur.
Yeah.
You look like someone that's been doing this for a very long time. I'm telling you, the way you bring people to the ground, if no one has seen, please look it up on YouTube. It's very easy to find his videos. The way you bring people down, it's crazy. Once you bring someone down, it's like the fight's over. In my opinion, they don't get up, and they can't. You just pin them, and your wrestling is great. Not saying your stand-up game is not, but Tough Enough has to get a lot more credit because of what you're doing, and that's going to get you and catapult you where you want to go eventually.
Exactly.
But the big thing with that, and you mentioned it earlier, working a 9 to 5, making your money, getting paid, not getting paid that much in MMA, moving up. You talk about sponsors. How important is it for you to get sponsors? We need sponsors to be on the radio. We do that. You're a fighter. It's more important for you to get sponsors. How much more do sponsors handle your money making, if that makes sense, than you actually what you get from Tough Enough?
Man, I have getting sponsors since my day one fighting career, and that actually motivated me to step in the cage, because it's not the same when you get money from any way that not getting money at all and
Correct.
fighting for free. So yeah, sponsors is the biggest support in my career are the sponsors right now, and not right now, since the day one.
Okay.
Since day one, I actually stepped in that cage for my first amateur fight because I had sponsors.
Okay.
I don't think if I had any sponsor, I wouldn't step in the cage, because it was actually fighting for free. Who wants to
Gotcha.
fight for free?
Nobody. Yeah.
So sponsor is my biggest support in my career, definitely, man.
Okay.
And shout out to Hardin for sponsoring my last fight. All the sponsors that I have from my day one career, man.
And then last question, I know you got one. I want to add to this one. How did you create what you did to get these sponsors? Is it you, or do you have someone marketing behind you?
It's me, man. It's
Okay.
all about me. Yeah. I saw myself. I saw my picture, my image.
Okay.
So I just present them the plan. Like, I'm gonna put them on my shirts, on my t-shirts, on my social media, and they like the idea.
Yeah.
They want to support a fighter, and
And
that's
they
how
see
I
the
get them,
talent.
man.
They see
and
the
they
talent.
see the talent. Yeah.
And
they
then
see
your
the talent.
charisma, your
And my-
attitude.
Exactly,
You
man.
seem
It
like
all
a champ
comes
already, if
together,
that
yeah.
makes sense. You know what I mean?
It all comes together.
Comes out in the
Yeah.
Cuban
Yeah.
flags and everything. It's
I
like-
got
Cuban
my own
flag all
style.
wrapped
all wrapped
Let's
up around
go.
it.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying, but that's how I get to make business with them,
Oh,
man.
man, definitely.
And that's
That's awesome. So I've asked a couple fighters from obviously like boxers that we've had on the show. So with film and stuff, you said that you looked at your defeats, right? Going into a fight, do you study your opponent, see what like tendencies they have and stuff like that, and how meticulous are you with that preparation?
Yeah, definitely. Me and my coaches, we sit down, we put it on a big TV, we watch all my opponent's fights, the mistake he makes, the good things that he makes, and we start working from that. Like, we start hitting pads. If he moves his head from this side, we gotta throw that right hand to it. And yeah, it's about my coaches. That's
Gotcha.
They got that accomplished. So yeah,
Gotcha.
It's definitely from them.
Once again, Jose V, EMB, Straight Bet Sports. You're live here on the Guerilla Cross Radio Network. Thank you so much for tuning in and chiming in tonight. It's already nighttime on the East Coast, so we can say tonight. I'm just so used to saying tonight because we're always here at nighttime at 9 o'clock, you know what I mean? But we did have a new segment that we were going to do. We're still going to do it. We're just got some kinks, some things that we're working out. The homie Taze is still going to be a part of the show. He's going to be coming on, hanging out with us, chopping it up. That's not going to change. We're just flipping it up, doing some things differently here. We're going to have a little bet segment that we want to give out and talk about some gambling here. Obviously, the name of the show is Straight Bet Sports. But Ernesto, before we let you go, my guy, because we're going to move on and talk some sports here, but I want to ask you a question because we are also a sports gambling show. We talk sports gambling from time to time. You mentioned that you do like to bet. Now, that's not getting you in trouble because you're allowed to bet. We know that. Some NFL players, Calvin Ridley, can't do that because they'll get in trouble. But you said that you do like to gamble a little bit.
I do, yeah.
Talk about some of the bets that you do put in. You said parlays, but it's only in MMA, which is interesting because you said you don't bet anything else.
No, actually, it's not only MMA. It's MMA and boxing.
Ah, okay.
MMA and boxing.
So fighting in general.
So fighting in general
Okay.
because it's what I know.
Okay.
Like, I like NBA. I watch it the whole time. I like NFL too.
Okay.
But I just don't like how to bet on them.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
You understand the other sports
I
better.
understand the other sports. So yeah, and yeah, I do like to bet. I haven't get the best look, but yeah.
What's the biggest bet you've hit so far?
Haven't hit.
You haven't hit anything?
I haven't hit anything,
Bro,
man.
Sosa, if you're watching, bro,
Haven't hit anything, man.
Wise Guys Diamond Club, we gotta hook my guy up over here and take care of him because we gotta get him on the
You
winning
gotta-
side.
Yeah,
man.
man. Yeah, I need that.
Okay,
so
okay.
I actually bet on the last boxing match
Okay.
against Jordanis Ugas and Spencer.
Okay, yeah.
I put it on my guy.
Of
Ugas.
course, you have to. You gotta
Yeah,
support.
but I was so confident going to win, man, and he just lost. He lost, man. And that was alright. That was alright.
So you follow boxing, right?
I follow boxing a little bit. Yeah, for sure.
Canelo Triple G. Is it too late, or are you excited to see that fight?
I'm very excited, man. Very excited to see that fight and see what they both gonna bring. I think Canelo's gonna take it, man. He just fought a big guy, though.
Yeah.
And coming down now
Yeah.
to Triple G again.
Now
he's
you
gonna-
say you think he's gonna beat him. So let me ask you, who won the first fight? Who do you think won the first fight?
That was close. That was really close. That was close. So yeah.
If
If
you
you
had to
if
score
you
it
had to
out.
score it, who
If
won
I had
the
to
first
score,
fight?
I would say Triple G.
Okay, see,
I would say
thank you.
Triple
Finally,
G.
somebody
Yeah.
somebody jumps in. The second fight, I can
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah,
I'm okay
Canelo,
with
yeah.
that. But the first fight to me was either Triple G or a draw. I don't think Canelo
draw.
won it.
No,
I'm
no.
okay with a
Yeah.
draw or Triple G, but
I agree with that.
I do think that this fight is a little bit late, but I think it's good for the sport of boxing
good
right now
one.
because it's
Yeah.
still two names that people still want to see fight.
Yeah.
Triple G has a huge Hispanic, not only Hispanic, but Mexican following.
Yeah.
A lot of people follow this guy and they love and respect him. And it's funny because there's a lot of Mexican fans that don't like Canelo that
Yeah.
love Triple G.
Yeah.
So it builds up more and it sells more tickets and all that. But Ernesto, before we let you go, my man, one more time, let everyone know where they can find you on all things social media and plug that fight one more time, my guy.
Yeah, man. I gotta work on my Twitter. I don't have any followers on my Twitter.
Let's
So,
work on
yeah.
this guy's Twitter account, man.
Starboy
Let's start
MMA. Go
retweeting.
follow my Twitter right there, guys. And Starboy MMA on Instagram. Ernesto Starboy Rodriguez on Facebook. YouTube, Ernesto Starboy MMA. And yeah, got a fight coming up. August 12th, Thomas Market Center. Can't be more excited, man.
There we
I'm
go.
ready to put it in a show.
Ernesto, we greatly appreciate you, my guy. You're more than welcome
you
to
for
hang
coming.
out in the studio. Me and Ian are going to finish up and do our thing here.
Perfect, man.
This is not the last time we're going to have you in.
No.
We're going to have you back.
Gonna
I want to
come
have you
after.
back either before your next fight. Actually, no, I'll be in Mexico in August, so I won't be able to do it, which we got to talk about that too because you're going to be doing the show by yourself. But when I get back and your fight's over, we're going to have you back in here
For
4-1. Remember that. He'll be 4-1 when we get him
Yeah.
back
4
in
and
here.
1, no doubt.
My man, appreciate
Thank you, brother.
so
Thank you.
much.
Okay. Thank
Best
you,
of
Ian,
luck
for
to
letting
you.
me have it.
Continued luck, continued success to you. Best of luck and God bless, my man.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you.
Same.
Ernesto Starboy Rodriguez, man, joining us here on Straight Bet Sports on the Guerilla Cross Radio Network. Now, let's jump into some sports talks conversation because we got about 24 minutes here, but we got some things that we gotta throw out there. The one thing that I'm gonna unpack real quick because it was out there. Yeah. Baker Mayfield to the Carolina Panthers. We saw that was the big news today so far that happened on the way in. We saw the trade. Browns are still going to pay, I think, about $4.5 million somewhere around there of his salary.
So that's interesting because they only gave a 5th conditional pick for it, so it can turn into a 4th round pick. But I was curious because when I first heard that, I was like, no, like the Browns have to be covering like the whole contract. But it does look like the Panthers and the Browns are going to be splitting it. So interesting.
It's crazy though,
low
bro,
risk, high upside, but that quarterback room is weird,
bro. And you check this out. You basically brought in a guy, Deshaun Watson, and paid him all that money. Yeah. Might not play this year. Now you got Jacoby Brissett, which you also paid him a bit to be there. Remember that, and he's still getting paid with that contract he had from the Colts. I think that I still believe there's still some money in there.
Brissett's not that bad for himself, man.
And then here's the other scenario when we're talking about contracts and quarterbacks. Carolina just paid Sam Darnold all that money to be their starter just a year ago. What do you do now?
And then everyone forgets they also drafted Matt Corral. So you have a quarterback
and you still got
room,
PJ Walker.
And you have PJ Walker. So you have a quarterback room with Baker Mayfield, who was the #1 overall pick.
Yes.
You have Sam Darnold. I want to say Sam Bradford because like their
Sam
trajectory
Darnold top
is
3. I think was number 3 pick, something like that.
2. I think he is picked 2 by the Jets. And then now you have Matt Corral, who I believe they took in the 3rd or 4th round. But a lot of people said he has 1st and 2nd round upside, right? So it'll be interesting. It really seems like their whole strategy is throw all 3 quarterbacks at training camp and like into the fold and see who beats out who, because I don't know.
It's going to be interesting though, because I was thinking about the trade and I'm trying to look at it and I'm trying to say, what positives can I find from this, right? What can I see here? So I wrapped my head around it. I looked at the roster. I looked at who's there. I looked at the possibilities of injuries, health, this and that. And all I kept thinking to myself, if I'm being honest, is if Christian McCaffrey stays healthy, Baker Mayfield will have a great year. Baker Mayfield will have a good year if he's the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. And the reason I say that, before Hunt went down, before Nick Chubb went down, they had a great running game in Cleveland, and Baker looked great.
Yeah, he did.
He looked like a good starting quarterback.
Didn't they go like 11-5 that year? When everyone was healthy, I think they went 11-5.
In the beginning part of the season, before he got hurt, before the running backs weren't doing as much,
he didn't look bad.
He didn't look bad at all. So again, we know Christian McCaffrey's injuries, though. We know his injury prone. Yeah. We know what happened last season. We know how hot and how good Darnold looked with McCaffrey. So that's why I'm saying
completely different.
I think
when McCaffrey
Baker Mayfield being here, not necessarily is a bad thing for him nor Carolina, as long as the set pieces around him are healthy. Yeah. And not only that, if you're Robbie Anderson, what are you going to do now too? Are you going to finally step up and be that #1? What are you going to do? I'm just saying, you have that contract too. You got paid to stay there.
So that's an interesting topic because I don't know if you remember, there was a post early on in the offseason where there was the rumor that Baker was potentially going to the Panthers. And Robbie Anderson was like, no.
He's like, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good.
I don't want to deal with it.
And he's been on record to like kind of like flaunt out like he might retire type of thing. So we'll see how that dynamic in Carolina works out. I did think at the start of the offseason that was the most realistic landing spot for Baker. However, when they picked Matt Corral, I kind of threw that out the window. But we'll see. I'm excited for the new opportunity for Baker because I do think I don't think he's elite, but I do think that he gets a bad rap. Like I think that a lot of people blame him for a lot of things that are outside of his control.
I got you.
So I feel like a new scenery for him is the best thing for both parties. Although Browns are like totally totally messed up now. So.
Sticking to the NFL though, McLaurin, which is a guy that you and I have talked about, and more you, meaning you've mentioned him to me so many times when it comes to our conversations about he hasn't signed. You have Carson Wentz there. What's really going to happen? The deal is done. It's set. At this point, it's time to shut up and get to work, right? Yep. If you're Carson Wentz, you have your #1. You have no excuses. You're both healthy. What do you do now?
Yeah, you could argue that this is technically the best receiving core that Carson Wentz has had in his entire career. So you could say that that he has no excuses, like you said. We'll see. I mean, they might have something there because we all know Carson Wentz has a cannon for an arm. Terry McLaurin is incredibly fast,
speedster for
sure. And he has a route tree, so he's easily, I think, a top 10 receiver. Right now, maybe top 12, if we're being honest with it. But they paid him 3 years, $71 million. I believe is like $50 million guaranteed, so it's a nice chunk of money. He's in the 20-25 million range. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Carson Wentz and the boys.
A lot more going to happen in the NFL coming up in the coming weeks and the coming days, so we'll definitely have a lot more to talk about. We'll be live during the NFL season, which is fun, so we'll have a lot going on. If you guys know me and you guys have followed me already, you know I love NFL and I love to talk about it, so the show will be NFL heavy during the season. But we got some NBA to talk about as well.
Absolutely.
Obviously, NBA Summer League is already happening, not here in Vegas, but we have games going on in other cities right now, the California Classic and all that other stuff that they're doing. Chet Holmgren, big last night in his debut. You know what I mean? Looked really good in the summer league. Even had KD giving him shout out saying, "I see you, number 7," because he was wearing his kicks and all that. Obviously, NBA stars care about fashion a lot more nowadays than it was back in the day. But he set an NBA summer league record yesterday. Now, a lot of people don't believe that he's going to do much because of size. We've seen a lot of guys that can do much in the college ranks and then come out and just their game does not adapt to the NBA style. One of the biggest names that I can remember today is Jimmer Fredette. Jimmer Fredette was a great college. He was buckets all day in college basketball. Couldn't cut it in the NBA.
Yeah.
But he's in Japan right now making bank, and he's probably MVP, superstar. He's won championships, all that. So it's just crazy how styles don't necessarily transcend to the pro level. Now, it's only one game. It's only summer league. He's not playing against the rosters. He's not playing against the vets, the big names, the guys with the contracts just yet in games that matter. Can he continue this in a regular season?
But according to him, LeBron's nothing special. So we'll see what happens.
He's just trying to get it hyped
when
up.
he actually gets, in LeBron's face.
Yeah.
So, but
LeBron will remind him.
Yeah, I just want, I'm going to brag a little bit here. I just want to announce that I announced the Durant request trade last week.
Oh, here we go.
And my co-host said that is utterly ridiculous, but it did happen the day after I announced it. So
hours, not even a day. It happened hours. Let's be real. Jeez, if I'm gonna give you credit, we're gonna give you the credit the right way, God.
So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, you called it. You sure did. You sure did. But I also said to the extent that will both of these stars be there eventually, and from what it looks like, no.
It looks like there's a possibility that neither of them are going to be there at the start of the season. Which, wouldn't that be amazing if Ben Simmons is the only all-star on that team?
Now, I want to talk about some of these ridiculous contracts. I'm sorry. Some guys deserve to get paid, but some don't. And it's gotten to the point now where this is where we're at. It's all about...
Everyone's getting paid.
It's all about style points.
Mm-hmm.
How stylistic have you been in your career? What have you done? How much have you brought to our franchise? Case in point, and I love the guy, and I respect his game, John Wall. I think you and I have played more pickup games in the last 3 years than he's played in his career in the last 3 years. But yet he's made $138 million, I believe, in that time span, which is ridiculous how some of these contracts are getting out of hand. Now, the reason I say that, who in their right mind, and I understand why they did it, because if they don't do it, someone else is going to do it, so they don't want someone else to give them that money, and then they reach. How the hell and why did Zion Williamson get so much money? Why? Well, I understand the talent is there, the possibility,
85
but the guy
games.
has been hurt.
85 games in 3 years. 3 years.
That's one season, almost.
That's one.
If we count playoffs,
that's not even a full season. What
are we doing here? What are we doing? Really? Is this where it's gotten to, that we're afraid of letting go a possible
what was it,
big talent?
193 million, something like that?
Bro, the overall extension he got, I think it's a total of like 200-something million over 4 or 5 years. It's ridiculous.
Well, it's 230 if he gets
if he actually
MVP
plays.
this year. If he does certain things, it'll be 230. Or if he gets first team All NBA this year. So there's stipulations for the 230, but it's still 193.
And I do know that they put in heavy injury protections in the language of the contract. So they are. It's not as bad as it looks face value, but it's still pretty bad. But then again,
you guys got to understand it's New Orleans, and it's a team that doesn't like. They're not getting free agents there, so they have to buy their own players. And the chance you take on him, if he does become a healthy player, he's been great when he's played.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
you have to take that chance.
He's set efficiency records.
And another thing that I can think of too, just based off of what Quan just said, is that it's New Orleans. Not everyone's trying to flock to get there. If he does stay healthy and he does produce, then you have trade asset at that point.
You have trade asset.
Let's say you don't want to keep him because you haven't
bring them in.
So have that. Okay.
I can understand. Thank you, Quan.
And here's the thing, though. He has to stay healthy for this contract to be legit.
Yeah.
If there's any possibility of that ever happening.
He has to lose some weight, man.
I agree. He's too heavy.
He has
to.
His knees just like you already have
foot and knee injuries.
Yeah, he has a foot injury. He has a knee injury. Like and even in, I think he has a meniscus tear as well. Like
wow,
he has quite a few.
You think?
Lower leg injuries already. Like, so he needs to lose. I say he has to get to around like 270. Right?
But that's why they didn't rush him back last year, because he was ready to come back. He wanted to come back, but the team's like, chill. We're not going anywhere right now, anyways. Chill out. You're an asset for the future. You're still young, and so he has to have a great year this year if he wants that extra $40 million on his contract. So I think we'll see him,
Do you think
play well if he doesn't get hurt? But I mean, you're right. It's hard with that many injuries, and you're a big dude. Like, can your body handle that over and over again? We have to see a full season of him to believe it, right?
Definitely.
We have to see at least a 70-game season.
Because the way he plays, he's rim protector. He just throws it down. He has zero regard for how he lands. So he has to do some adjustments if he's going to survive in this league. And I said it when he got drafted. I really did believe that it was going to be a major issue, longevity, like in an injury. So we'll see. I wonder if they actually, when they shut him down, when you said that he is ready, I wonder if they like sat him down and said, hey, look, you don't have to rush back. We're going to like pay you. Like, we're going to figure out a contract. Because a lot of athletes, when they're, approaching that extension, they do rush themselves back because they're like, oh, I have to prove myself to my organization. So I wonder if they actually sat him down and.
But if you love basketball, you just want to play. It's like, bro, I've seen all these tweets and everything online. Like, I want to show people, like, yo, I'm good.
And then Kev Ray chimes in, and it's kind of to the point that I wanted to say, too, as well. He goes, New Orleans is a pretty good team. He could get them over the hump. I agree with that because I was just thinking about that when you both were talking. They have a good nucleus there. They have a good set team as long as Zion comes back and stays healthy. And even if he comes back, I honestly feel...
you see what they did in the playoffs. They almost... beat who they played in the second round, Phoenix.
Yeah.
They almost beat them. Like they competed with them.
And I think McCollum was a great
that's a
great
perfect
fit.
pick.
Like perfect player.
Him, Brandon Ingram, come on.
And I think that you're right. I think if he comes back, if he's healthy, if he can actually stay on the court, I mean, like, he has to actually stay on the court.
Yep.
Then they very well can make them contenders next year.
So the next question, KD, Primo Eddie chimes in, which is great because that's a big topic of conversation right now. Where does he play next season, right? Obviously, we see everything that's being talked about. We see everything that's being said. From what it sounds like and from everything that it looks like, the Nets aren't trying to cater. They're not trying to cater to what KD wants. They're trying to cater more to what Kyrie wants, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and I'm not going to use this as my own quote because it's not, but I kind of agree with it. KD, I mean, he basically went to New Orleans, got paid. I'm sorry, to the Nets, got paid $40 million.
He still has
rehabbed on their dime and got better. Didn't win anything. But now you're asking for a trade to go somewhere else. Yeah. If you get traded and you win a chip with superstars somewhere else, I'm sorry, KD, you are not an all-time great because you left to create something in Brooklyn, to win without superstars. Yeah. Just one guy, which I'm okay with two guys being superstars together. But you went to create something and win, and it didn't work, and you're asking for out now. So what are we doing? It's Golden State all over again is basically what you're saying. I'm not saying he's going to go to Golden State.
But that he's looking for number one seeds.
Now, I think that he should go, not where I think he's going to land. I honestly believe, and I feel that the best possible scenario for him to win another championship is if he goes to Boston. Now, what does Boston have in trade assets to give up without giving up that much? I don't know. No. But in general, I feel that Boston can be a better fit for him to win a chip now if you're still getting and keeping Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Al Horford, obviously the vet. Maybe Marcus Smart, but he might be part of a trade bait there if we're talking about that when it comes to KD, right?
Yeah. I'm starting to believe the point that I made that Durant was going to make the request is the same reason why Kyrie is going to be the one that leaves and Durant is going to be the one that stays, is because, especially with the Rudy Gobert trade, his value went astronomically high. I mean, Rudy Gobert went for basically 5 first-round picks, 4 first-round, and then I think a first-round player, correct? Or was it a swap?
So there's a swap in there, and then I think it was their first rounder of this year.
Yeah, so
and then 5 other players.
Yeah, so that
just a lot.
That trade made the value just astronomical. Teams don't want.
It reminds me of who's the receiver that got paid first this year?
Devontae Adams.
And then
Tyreek Hill.
Who?
Tyreek
No,
Hill.
Kristen Kirk.
Yeah. And that just upped the value of everybody.
I
I think
everyone's value.
this Rudy Gobert thing is going to make it ridiculous for KD, because if they got that for Gobert,
yeah.
Just imagine what KD would get.
I think what they're asking is for an all-star player and like 5 picks, which.
Speaking of which, real quick, Minnesota's going to be scary next year. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know.
They got rid of some good players,
They
though.
did.
Yeah,
They did.
So
but...
the place that I would like to see KD, the place that I'd love to see KD, I don't think it's going to happen, but I'd love to see him in Dallas. I think him with Luka would be absolutely phenomenal. I think that would be scary for the
bold over here.
I think that would be scary
Tell me
for
more.
the
Tell me more. I want to hear this.
In the entire league.
Okay.
They did just lose Brunson, but I think Luka, with just the way that he facilitates,
which is another overreaction contract in my opinion. But anyways, keep going.
But the way that he facilitates the ball, that I think that it would be a perfect fit. And this league has proven that while a big 3 does often work, a duo, like a strong duo, is almost just as efficient. So I think that's my number one destination that I would love to see. I don't know if they have the capital to make it happen, but if I was their organization, I would be looking into every opportunity to see if I can make KD and Luka a thing.
So we got about 6 minutes to go, so we're going to finish up here real quick. I'm just going to give one thought on the Lakers real quick. I think they've had one of the worst off seasons of any team this year so far when it comes to their signings. All they have left are the league minimum, whatever the hell they're called, contracts to offer. They have nothing else to offer anyone. If I'm being honest, and people have called me crazy for the last couple of weeks since I've been saying this since Darvin Ham got hired, keep what you have.
Yeah.
I honestly think that you keep what you have, you play through this season, and then next season you get rid of all the trash. Think about it. Westbrook's contract is gone. LeBron can leave if he wants. The only thing you have left is AD at that point.
Start anew.
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with letting your rookie head coach go through some growing pains. Who knows? What if he does figure out Russell Westbrook? What if they do figure this out and get good? You never know. I say, instead of trying to get into the Kyrie Irving sweepstakes, instead of trying to bring in all these other big names and KD and all this, just play with what you have.
So you wouldn't do a Kyrie for Westbrook swap right now?
No.
With
absolutely
like
not.
1 or 2 picks?
Absolutely not.
I would do that in a heartbeat.
Absolutely not.
In a heartbeat.
Absolutely not. You know why?
It's already done.
You know why?
It's already done.
You know why?
Yeah.
I honestly believe that Kyrie Irving does not care about playing basketball anymore. I do.
He's on a contract year. I promise he'll play this year.
After him losing so much money last year, and then all of a sudden couldn't get a sign and trade and decides to opt in to get paid, he's missing out on money. All he cares about is money. That's my opinion. I don't know anything. I'm not behind closed doors. I'm not his agent. I'm not the Brooklyn Nets. I don't know anything. I'm not Kyrie. I'm not in his head. I'm just going based off of last season, what happened, what's going on now. You said, I don't work for no one. I work for me. All of a sudden, you got to show up to work to get paid, and you opted into that contract. So therefore, I honestly believe Kyrie does not care about basketball anymore.
You turned down $37 million?
Of course not. But he lost $17 million last year.
Okay, so
of course he's not going to turn down $37 million.
But why did he lose it? Because he did not want to play.
So
he wasn't the one that didn't want to play.
LA,
he tried to play.
Is there a vaccination restriction with LA?
No, they don't have that.
COVID's over. There's no vaccination restriction anywhere. So. You do that trade in this second. It's already done. There's 0 chance Russell Westbrook is a Laker, and there's 100% chance Kyrie will be. If it's at the beginning of the season or at the trade deadline. It's
So
already
you think
done.
it's gonna happen?
It's done.
Okay.
They're just trying to figure out if
The
there's a third
logistics.
team involved or whatever else is going on.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's done. He's
We'll
a
see.
he's a free agent after next year, so he will play because he's playing for a new contract. So if we only get one good year of Kyrie, cool. If everyone's healthy, Kyrie and LeBron already know how to play together. You don't have to teach them how to play together. They played great together. And AD, on top of that, they can easily win a championship if everyone's healthy.
Let me throw this final hypothetical. I know
Easily.
we
Everybody
got 5
can
minutes, so
very
we're running out of
easily.
time. Let's say, hypothetical, they have a great season, they win the chip. Does Kyrie and LeBron re-sign and stay with the Lakers at that point? Or do you say, I'm good, I can dip?
Who knows? Who cares? We won another
Yeah, I mean,
Kwan's like, who knows? Who
I
cares?
don't
We won
know.
another chip, that's all that
Kyrie
matters.
might, retire and go into genetics. Who knows?
No, definitely. You're crazy. Final thoughts, my guy. We're about to get on out of here. What you got, Ian?
Just make sure that you guys are following us. Sorry, I forgot my handle. At ENB_sports, Straight Bet Sports, Jose_Volante. Make sure that you go and follow Ernesto Rodriguez, and also just remember August 12th, his next fight, Thomas and Max there. You can look on, I believe it's unlvtickets.com is where they usually sell those. So make sure that you're paying attention. We're going to have a lot coming in store in the next couple weeks, and
Pack the Mac.
That's it.
Pack the Mac, as they like to call it. If you've been to a tough enough event, you know that's what it is. Pack the Mac. They do it a lot. It's a great stuff, man. Great organization. They got a lot of good fights and a lot of good fighters coming up in that circuit. So please check out our guy Ernesto Starboy Rodriguez and give him a follow, give him a chat, give him a support. The guy will hit you up. He will respond to you. He will like and he will follow you. Trust me, he's that type of individual. He's not just on the rise and trying to push everybody aside. He's letting you go on the ride with him. But we appreciate him for being in the show tonight and in the studio with us. Goose Thomas, appreciate you, my guy. He says, dope show, fellas. Appreciate you as always. Make sure you check out their show, Let the Ball Bounce, here on Tuesdays and Saturdays on the same network, Guerilla Cross Radio. But before we go, man, my final thoughts. I got to give a big shout out to 2 people. One of them is Mike Jones, our guy on Twitter. He was one of the first persons to hook us up and jump in and try to sponsor and give us some support, so we appreciate it. My guy Plug, also on Twitter, Plug Sports. The guy does the spaces every single morning, breaking down the whole MLB card. If you guys want to make some free money, make sure you follow him and do that as well. My guy Sosa, the locksmith from Wise Guys Diamond Club. He's always sharing, retweeting, helping me push everything and letting people know what we got. So we appreciate him for his support because he's helping us grow on Twitter and helping the show grow as well. So we appreciate that. And to our 2 silent sponsors, because we do have 2, Ian, we greatly appreciate you guys. You know who you are, you know what you did, and you know why you did it, and we appreciate you guys for doing it. So thank you so much for being a part of the show, sponsoring us, and letting us be here back on Guerilla Cross Radio. We have a lot of things in store, a lot of ideas, a lot of things
Feels
to do.
great being
We
back.
have giveaways that we got coming up. I haven't told you about that. I'm working on that as well. We're going to be giving out merchandise, hopefully tickets to games coming up soon. So we're working on all of that. We're trying to up the ante, give you guys a little more excitement. And for my people on the East Coast, we give out stuff. If we give out tickets to games and you're going to be out here and you're going to be traveling, let us know, man. We'll hook you up as well. We'll try to do that. But my final thought as we end up here, Las Vegas Aces, man. 2-3 in their last 5 games after starting hot. One of the hottest, if not the hottest team in the WNBA. Now they're in second place, right behind the defending champion Chicago Sky, just by half a game because of the win-loss margin there. Now, their last game, they got completely embarrassed at Minnesota, 102-71, just routed, 31-point loss. I believe is what was the worst loss in franchise history, which is just crazy. I don't see that happening again tonight. They are at the crib tonight. They're taking on Sabrina Ionescu and the New York Liberty. New York comes in at 8-12, as where Las Vegas is 15-6. The line currently sits at the Las Vegas Aces are minus 11.5 on Boyd Gaming. Money line is minus 750. Over and under right now sits at over and under sits at 169.5, minus 110 both ways. And if we're looking at team totals, Aces team totals over 90.5, New York Liberty over 78.5. Here's the thing. I've said it all season and I'll say it again. This team needs to figure out the defensive side of the ball. I asked coach before, and she said the offense wasn't where they wanted to be, but they're scoring 92 plus points per game. The offense is there, ladies. Let's be honest. clear it up and fix it up and clean it up on the defensive side of the ball, and we won't have any issues. A 31-point loss should not happen with this type of team and with this coach team. But my bet tonight, I'll be at the game, 7 p.m. tip-off at the Michelob Ultra Arena here in Las Vegas. I like the team total on the Las Vegas Aces. Over 90.5, sitting at -112. That's what I'm giving out for you guys tonight. Once again, for Jose V, EMB, Quan59, our guest in the studio, Ernesto the Starboy Rodriguez, MMA fighter, joining us in the studio. My guy, Jay Madrazo's joining us here last minute, chilling with us in the studio. We greatly appreciate you. And for everyone that chimed in, that joined in, that shared, that liked, that followed, that commented, we greatly appreciate you. Don't forget, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your mom, tell your uncle, tell your cousin. I don't care. Next week, it's 4 p.m. We're live once again. Evansville, point guard, former UNLV guard, Marvin Coleman, joining us live here on the show. We greatly appreciate you guys. Till next week, we are out. Peace.
Later.